Hi students, and welcome back to our lesson today on Section 2, Part 2 and Section 3. We're looking again from the frontier to the White House, and we're really going to look at the election of 1824 and 1828 today. So Andrew Jackson in 1824 decided to run for president, and he was going up against three other candidates. He was going against Henry Clay, William Crawford, and John Quincy Adams. And who you see here then is Andrew Jackson here versus John Quincy Adams, because that's who it came down to. So John Quincy Adams, so he was the son of President John Adams. He also was a strong support in New England, the New England states. And he also was one who favored the national roads and the Erie Canal. He represented the upper class and the historical type of presidents that you would consider to be president. So this election that we have, Jackson then goes in and wins, as you can see here on our little map and graph here that we have. He has the most popular votes and the most electoral votes. He's in the green here, okay? But he does not have the majority. And so what happens is this. If you do not have the majority of votes, then you have to, it has to go to the House of Representatives to decide, okay? So we had those four Democratic Republicans are running, the four that I had mentioned. They're all from the same political party. No one receives the majority. And so it goes to the House of Representatives, who chooses a president from among the three leading candidates, okay? And so what happens is that Clay, who comes in fourth, as you can see, he's in the orange here. He urges his supporters in the White House to vote for Adams. So then this support gave Adams enough votes to become president, okay? And so that's what we have. Adams is named the next president. So, with Adams being president, he brings Clay into his cabinet, and the two men shared many of the same goals. However, Jackson supporters accused Adams and Clay of making a corrupt bargain to rob their hero of the rightful election. They promised revenge in the next election of 1828. So Jackson supporters used the time between the elections to build a new political organization that's come to know as the Democratic Party, the same one that we use today. And this party was really for the workers, the common person, the farmers, the poor. It did not represent the rich or the upper class, who really controlled the, when they did the Democratic Republican Party, that's who it controlled, and they ended up making their party called the Republican Party. Okay? So we have our next election, the election of 1828 rolls back around here. And so, like I said, his supporters worked hard to reach the nation's voters. They would hurl insults at Adams. They organized parades. They organized picnics and rallies to help support the election of Jackson. So I want you to take a look here. So you can see in this map here that this was the original map that we had and graph that we had that showed how many people came out to vote. They only had 356,000 people who were voting then. And this was the original one that showed that, hey, Jackson had the electoral votes and the popular vote, but he didn't have the majority. And this is where they voted in, went to the House, and they voted in Adams, okay? So Jackson at this time then tries to organize and make people able to vote who weren't just the rich upper class and landowners. He got some things changed so that the poor could also vote. So remember, at this time, women can't vote. your African American slaves can't vote. The only voters are really the upper class. So you can see in the election of 1828, with all the help from his supporters, they get 1 million people to come out to vote. And this time you do see that Jackson does get the majority of the electoral vote, as well as the popular vote. So here's some outcomes that we have of President Jackson. So he becomes the 7th president of the United States. He strengthens the power of the presidency, and we'll talk more about that after a little bit. And he takes on many different opponents during this time. Okay. So his inauguration. So he is sworn in on March 4th, 1829. More than 10,000 people come from every state to see him. Many of these people were those first-time voters. They were very excited because, again, Andrew Jackson was one of them, and they believed that he was rescuing them from the rich and the corrupt of the government that had happened over the last couple of decades with the other presidents. And so Jackson had promised to throw the rich out and return government to the people. So after he's sworn in, he goes back to the White House, has this huge party or celebration. There's even stories of riots and ladies fainting and bloody noses and all of that going on as well during this celebration that they have. So we will learn a little bit more about Andrew Jackson as we go further along in the lesson. I'd like you to continue to work on your vocab and your Section 2 homework that you had from yesterday. And make sure you read Section 3 as well. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.